Primal Scream are a Scottish rock band who were formed in Glasgow in 1982 and are still going. They started as a jangly indie pop group. They moved into more psychedelic and garage, then into dancey stuff. They've experimented with other styles over the years. They have 4 current members and 20 ex-members, and only Bobby Gillespie, their frontman and primary songwriter, I believe, is the last remaining original founder member. They have released 12 studio albums at a fairly steady rate. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the 5th studio album by Primal Scream, and it's my first time listening to it, although I've got a feeling I've heard the track Kowalski before. I believe it was a single, so maybe that's where I've heard it. So, description is going to be interesting for this. So, Acclaimed Music give this the genre alternative dance. I'm not really sure what that means, but maybe it is. Wikipedia tends to have more genres listed, and they tend to list all the different genres that different tracks may be being described as. So they list electronic rock, dub, neo psychedelia, and krautrock. I'm a little unsure about the krautrock there, but maybe they know what they're talking about. Whoever's written that. Um, I'm going to go out on a limb on here, and I'm going to claim something that isn't true, but I think has similarities to it. So I'm going to say it's very similar to Madchester, which was a kind of period of Manchester bands. And I guess several bands, but the two that stick out from that are Stone Roses and Happy Mondays, and others as well of that kind of ilk. And it was the kind of blend between rock and um, slightly funky and psychedelia and a little bit dancey. And in fact, that's how I'd describe this. I'd say it's rocky and beaty and slightly funky, somewhat electronic, and it uses kind of electronic stuff, but it isn't primarily, totally electronic. But particularly, it's got kind of electronic sweepy sound effects going on. Neo psychedelia is not a bad description. Psychedelia, certainly neo psychedelia, I associate with this kind of the sci-fi feel of some of the sound effects that are being used and special effects. The way that it's kind of overlaid and makes it quite busy, but also the way echoes are used as well. It's not particularly using phase sounds, which is another one that is quite common for this sort of thing. Um, but in some ways, I think if you drew a line between rock and like electronic dance, it's somewhere in the middle, and it's kind of semi-rock and it's semi-dancey and semi-electronic. Um, it does flirt with a few other styles. So dub was mentioned by Wikipedia. There's one track which I'd say very strongly is dub, which is Stuka. It feels quite industrial with the track Motorhead, which I think was it was written by Lemmy, so I think it was a Motorhead track. And Trainspotting, which is a long and I believe instrumental track, which feels kind of slightly dubbish, but also quite acid jazzy to my mind. So there's quite a bit of variety going on here, um, as well as the kind of the musical backing being this blend. The vocals, so this is Bobby Gillespie, are quite laid back and unassuming, and so it's not a strident voice. It's kind of more. I don't have a good adjective for it, other than it's kind of slightly smiley, slightly laid back, slightly laconic, maybe, yeah, that sort of thing. And that, as well as other things, is why I'm going to put forward this theory that it's kind of displaced Manchester because the Scottish, not from Manchester. It reminded me a bit of another band another track that I remember quite well from around this sort of time was "Step It Up" by the Stereo MCs. Now they're not Manchester either because they were London, but it's got that kind of feel. It's kind of a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of the other. And it's mildly psychedelic, mildly funky, mildly um, rock and mildly druggy maybe as well. Um, so overall, it's quite a nice package. Actually, I quite enjoyed it as an album. I have to say that I wasn't sure what to expect when this came up. Primal Scream, I've always associated and thought. I think it's probably just because of the name. I thought that they were rockier than that, and I think at other times they were. The song that I know of theirs pretty well is "Rocks," which is "Get Your Rocks Off, Get Your Rocks Off, Honey," etc., etc. And it was a song that I got really fed up with because it seemed to appear on every single compilation album of anything that had anything to do with rock around that sort of time. So the best rock album in the world, Volume 2, or that sort of thing. But this I quite liked, so I kind of got over the prejudice that I had, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, with a kind of mild way. So that's what I think of this album. As always, please do tell me what you think of this album. Let's, uh, yeah, let it all out by putting it in a comment and giving me your feelings on this. The next review on this channel is going to be something completely different. It's going to be Ornette Coleman's album, Something Else. But that's it from me for now.